Thank you so much for being with us this morning. My name's Jim Rakes, and I'm president of the foundation, the Blacksburg Museum and Cultural Foundation. I'm also in charge of the weather. We're delighted to have you join us this morning for this very special occasion. This is the official ribbon cutting and opening ceremony for the Alexander Black House, which has been, as you know, a journey, and it's taken us some time to get to where we are today. I would like to tell you that it's been easy to get here, but it has not. I would like to tell you that the process that we established has been mistake-free, but it has not. I would like to tell you that our schedule has remained constant, on time, and never delayed, but it has not. I would like to tell you that we've raised all the money that we needed to raise to completely finish this house, but we have not. What I will tell you is how excited we are here this morning to have completed phase one, the exterior of this beautiful building and the first floor, so that we can start hosting the owners of this building, the residents of downtown Blacksburg, the many clubs and the many groups that we hope will use our building. So for that, I will tell you we are very grateful, and we appreciate the many people, the many talents, and the many hours that's been put in to where we are today. We're not through, as you know. We need to finish the second floor. We need to finish the basement. In order to do that, we're going to need another lift from the community. Literally, we're going to need a lift because we have to put in an elevator. But we are very confident now that we will do that in the near future. But the fact is, we can use it today for most of the functions and to help serve the town whose help make this possible. I have a lot of people to thank. I'm going to thank a few of them today. I hope you all know that if you're here, we appreciate you and we appreciate your participation. But I do think I need to highlight a couple of folks, if you will allow me just a moment to do that. Let me start with our board of directors. Our past directors who started with us and for reasons are not with us now, and our current board. They've had great vision. They've had great energy. They've had great stick-to-itiveness, and for that I personally am appreciative, and I would like to personally acknowledge and publicly acknowledge all of their hard work. Would you please give a hand to the board of directors? From the very start, the mayor, the vice mayor, and town council have been so very supportive of our effort here. They've not only provided their support, they've provided their expertise, they've provided their guidance, and most of all, they've provided their encouragement. And to each and every one of you, please know that we appreciate you and we thank you for what you have done here. To the town staff, who we've worked very closely with in getting here, and Adele Shermer, who's been our project coordinator, we have a special thank you because this has been a stop and go, get up and go, change this, round that out, and they have done extremely well with that. They have worked with us from the beginning in a very good fashion, and we appreciate them very much. To Snyder and Associates, Mike Snyder and Georgianne Snyder Falkingham, you can see the excellent work that they've provided here. They've been in this, in my belief, in more than just a job or a project. They've been devoted to make this the very best that it can be. I'm extremely proud of what's been done here, and I hope you will be too as you walk through this building today. To our project foreman, Bill LeVanture, you'll hear from him a little bit later on. Every once in a while you get someone who goes beyond the job, who takes it personally to see that things are done well, who spends extra time and extra effort to to make sure the outcome is what we'd all hoped for, Bill has done that. And Bill, thank you very much for that. And finally, Rhonda Morgan, our executive director, and her great staff. What a fabulous job they've done. They've worked extra hours, extra hard, extra patient, and we appreciate all of those qualities. And the results before you today is due to the fine effort that's been put in by them. My thanks to you. It's traditional for members of a family to greet and welcome you into their home when you come to visit. So it's my pleasure this morning to bring Alexander Black descendant and board member Craig Little to the podium to welcome you on behalf of the family.
Thank you very much, Jim, and it's just such a pleasure on behalf of the more than 30 living descendants of Alexander Black, who we are in constant touch with, to have you back to this house. This would please Alexander no end to see this house and this porch being used as a community gathering place as it was from 1897 until 1935 when Alexander passed away. It all started in the mid-1700s when Draper's Meadow was established as part of the Great Western Migration. In 1750, Samuel Black bought 650 acres near Draper's Meadow. Coincidentally, he was met by our Mayor Rordam and our banker Jim Rakes with hopes of forming a town and of forming a bank. And it's come true. Well, Samuel Black moved on further west for more land speculation, but he left the property to two sons, John and William Black. In 1798, William Black set aside 38 acres to establish the village of Blacksburg. John later gave much land to VPI. William also moved further west as his father did, but John stayed. Alexander was born on April 30th, 1857, as a great-great-grandson of Samuel Black and descended through the John Black line. He was the second son of Dr. Harvey Black and Mary Irby Kent Black. Alexander had two brothers, Kent and Charles. His father, Dr. Harvey Black, was a surgeon in Stonewall Jackson's brigade and assisted in Stonewall's arm amputation. Dr. Black was also the first rector of Virginia Agricultural and Mechanical College, where Alexander attended from 1872 to 1874. Alexander was a very successful businessman in mercantile and dry good business, and in May of 1891, he founded the Bank of Blacksburg, now the National Bank. At one time, the bank operated from what is now Capone's Jewelry. An interesting note, Alexander's brother Charles operated the building that housed Bluegrass Market, Dillon's, and later Annie K's. It is now part of the Brownstones, as you know. Charles made his money from the railroad next door and ran a livery service between Blacksburg and Christiansburg. Later, Alexander married Elizabeth Kent Odie of Armistead Odie from Walnut Spring, another prominent figure in this time. They were married on October the 4th, 1881. They had one adopted daughter, Mary Louise, who died at age 28 in 1918 from the flu during the infamous influenza outbreak of those times. Alexander and many farmers did what they could do for the sick cadets in the Henderson Hall Infirmary. They provided fresh fruit and milk and boiled the bed linens every day. Alexander was so strong in the community. He loved his family and a gentleman through and through. He was famous for his hospitality and gathered friends and family in this very house and porch most Sundays. And yes, he enjoyed his mint juleps. He loved to travel by train, often making journeys to Washington, D.C., and even New York. He was also very fond of oysters and frequently traveled to Christiansburg, where a local hotel served them fresh from ice cars that came in from the coast. He built this house in 1897 after his first one burned. He chose the Queen Anne Victorian, perhaps as a signal that Blacksburg was more than just a farming community. The Black family remained in this house until Alexander died in 1935. The bedroom furniture in the house now came from this house and was used by Alexander and his wife. And as a note, my mother, Nita, who is here sitting, and her husband, Harlan, don't have a bedroom anymore because all the bedroom furniture that they used is now in the Alexander Black house. So what's my link? Alexander is my great-great uncle through my mother's side. Elizabeth Black, sister of Alexander, married John Apperson. The Appersons had a son, Kent, who married and had 4 daughters, my mom and her 3 sisters. Mary Kent Elliott, Pam Mason, and Elizabeth Myers, along with my mom, made up the 4 daughters. The eldest, Elizabeth Myers, passed several years ago, but the other 3 are still living, and we're so happy to have them with us still. Mom probably captured the feelings of this house better than I could, so I'm going to read a little excerpt from a publishing little pamphlet that she published a couple years ago. How well I remember the living room where Uncle Alex had his reading chair and our Aunt Mary taught music on a beautiful baby grand. It was in this room where I and my 3 sisters were baptized. The dining room with its long table and good food was a magical place. Grandmother had only to press the button under the table with her foot, and someone from the kitchen with more hot rolls and fresh butter from the spring house arrived. The family gathered around the fireplace to read letters, a rather boring event for a little girl. A favorite hiding place was behind the winding staircase. The yard was a child's delight, with space to run and play in the streams in which to wade and catch crayfish. Often on Sunday afternoons, VPI cadets walked by and sat on the wall in front of the house. Now, there was one particular VPI cadet a few years later that used to walk over this way where Mom lived, and eventually Mom married Harlan Little. We are designing a family tree to go in the brick display here, where we have about 32 descendants that are donating bricks to commemorate our family, and we so much appreciate that this house has been restored and is once again a gathering place for everyone in this community. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Sam Lois Taylor. I am here representing Senator Mark Warner. He's unfortunately could not be here today. He is traveling on the other side of the state, but it's my pleasure to be here on his behalf. And I have a brief message from him that I'd like to share. Dear friends, I am pleased to extend my warmest greetings to all who are gathered for the ribbon-cutting ceremony and grand opening of the Alexander Black House and Cultural Center. Blacksburg has earned the reputation of being a community that places importance on the preservation and reuse of its historic spaces. Alexander Black was a businessman and community supporter. Although the house has been moved, his legacy will continue, as his home will have a welcome mat for the arts, history, and cultural heritage of Blacksburg and the area. I hope many will enjoy this treasured piece of history. Sincerely, Mark Warner, United States Senator. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Chacha, Vice Mayor of Blacksburg. On behalf of the Mayor and the Blacksburg Town Council, I would like to welcome all of you to this historic gathering and the official opening of the Alexander Black House. First, Mayor Rordam sends his sincere apologies for not being here. He wanted me to tell you that the only person that would keep him from this ceremony was his mother. So he is visiting his family in Maine, but sends his congratulations. In the last few years, Blacksburg has experienced an increase in urban development and revitalization of our downtown. New restaurants have emerged in old buildings, our sidewalks have widened, our promenade is full of life with its new outdoor seating and pedestrian energy. Our farmers market represents flavor and abundance, and Main Street has improved with new brickwork, a seating wall, and my favorite, free Wi-Fi. But as we continue to grow and move forward, it's important to recognize the symbols of our past and the people who have been housed in them and the symbols that have survived. Blacksburg is fortunate to have dedicated people who share our goals of preserving and reusing historic buildings. The members of the Blacksburg Museum and Cultural Foundation, led by Jim Rakes, as well as the Museum Advisory Committee Foundation before then, have worked passionately to help us reopen the Black House's front door. Thank you all for your hard work. In addition, this council and staff, past and present, and new Executive Director Rhonda Morgan, have supported this effort. Thank you all. I should also note that previous councils have voted to use our resources to expand the town's rich history and cultural heritage by bringing renewed use and programming to many historic spaces, including Five Chimneys, the Price House, the Blacksburg Motor Company, the Thomas Connor House, Old Town Hall, and Oddfellows Hall. Many of us remember when the Black House rested on Main Street. In 2002, I took a very long lunch break at a window seat in back streets and watched in awe as the building was rolled across the road to its new home here. The town and our citizens supported this move for a number of reasons. It allowed us to preserve the history of the 16 squares. It created economic development as the building of Kent Square brought retail, housing, and a parking garage to downtown. And ultimately, it ties into our arts district and adds to the quality of life in town since it will be used as a tremendous event space, history museum, and an area for genealogy research. If stepping out was any indication, our town is ready to rock on Blacksburg's front porch and make new memories and new history right here. Thank you.
Oh boy. Over a year and a half ago, a lifelong friend, Rick Logan, who works with Snyder and Associates, called me up. I was in Richmond working in a custom furniture shop for a friend that we were making high-end furniture for folks up in the Fan. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Working in the wood shop." He goes, "We interested in getting back into the construction game, you know?" And I said, "Well, if I don't have to build a strip mall or something like that, which I've already done plenty of, I'd be interested." He says, "No, it's the restoration of the great-great-grandson of the founder of Blacksburg." Well, I'd never been to Blacksburg, so I said, "Sure, let me come down and take a look." Fell in love. I mean, fell in love. Not only with the community, because on the groundbreaking ceremony that was held over in the Kent Square, if y'all remember, I was in the room and I recognized one person, and that was Mike Snyder, who I had met just the day before. Since then, I'm looking in the audience right now, and I probably know 75% of the people. It has been an absolute amazing journey. And hopefully that it will continue, and it would be nothing but a godsend for me. I moved out onto Craig Creek. And I have recently, because I love the area so much, I bought some land down in Floyd, where I anticipate hopefully doing a home down there, and it is on the Little River. So, and there are so many different threads that have run through this home and its restoration, stories that literally defy explanation. Whoever's heard the rose petal stories of 4 instances where there have been rose petals scattered through the building. An enigma, you know. Today I gave Rhonda a rose just to signify that, you know. And those that know my dog Maggie, you know, her middle name is Rose, you know. So, but it just goes on and on and on. Just the wonderful ties that the community has, that I've had to the project. But you know, well beyond that, the Victorian architecture that I was asked to try to describe, you know, is sitting in front of you. How much more description do you truly need, other than those that have seen other Victorians that are grandiose, multicolored, painted ladies, I think they were called, and they are, some of them are absolutely behemoths of just wonderful architecture. I think, as you know, Craig had alluded to, and Jim as well, Alexander, you know, although he was a wealthy person for the times, if he had gone to that degree, may have alienated himself, perhaps, you know. But so he chose a style of the period, painted in just 2 colors, which is unusual for a Victorian, truly. The one thing I want to get to is I read this and I thought it was 35 minutes. No, okay. So it's 3 to 5 minutes. Because I could rave on and on and on about the wonderful things that have happened to me here and I'll be more than happy to discuss a lot of them with you. And certainly one of the finer ones is some of the craftsmen that have come to this project. And as a project manager and a superintendent, to have the level of participation that we had, and we have reached out beyond Blacksburg in some cases to Richmond. We had, those that have toured the house have seen the cherub lamp that's on the newel post at the bottom of the stairs. We had a situation during the construction where we had to remove that, and we sent it off to a person that I used to work with in Richmond to do a refurbish, of that particular piece. A fellow by the name of Byron Pennington, who is a blacksmith, artisan, as well as a brass fixture restoration person. Well, he brought that back, and we put it back in, and the day before, Tuesday, a woman wanders in the back and says, "Could I see where my son did the refurbishing of that lamp?" I said, "Well, of course," so we walked back here. Now, I met Byron in Richmond. He's from Blacksburg. That was his mother that came through and wanted to see that lamp, I mean, the list goes on and on and on, but another individual, Bill Fields, the man I was working with in Richmond doing this high-end furniture stuff, I invited him down to help me understand some of the finer details. He's been a restorationist for years. We walked through the building, and I said, there's a condition right here and on the other side in that location where there's a window. I don't understand the framing of it. And he said, well, that's a walk-through window door. Very much like you see in Monticello, Jeffersonian. You can lift those up and walk through it. We went into the black bedroom, and he said, you have one right there. The town conceded to the fact of not putting a door there, redid our design. We put an authentic window door in the bedroom to represent some of the original architecture. Well, Bill and I walked out. We're standing in here talking about when we thought they converted from coal-fired, fireplaces to a boiler system. At that moment, a trickle of dust comes down in the inside of the firebox and starts to land on the hearth. We're looking over there at that. Reached up in there and started pulling out newspapers, starting at 1942 all the way back to 1927. So we suspect that at that moment, there was something telling us that you need to come over here and take a look at this. This will tell you what you need to know. Well, I mean, there's many, many more of those, but the part that you don't normally find, in a construction project is the recognition of the people that have contributed. Rhonda Morgan had a wonderful idea. Huh? No, I understand that, but the concept is, it goes well beyond, and those that have been to other ribbon cuttings realize that it's immediate thanks and stuff like that, but the folks that had actually participated and made it become so hardly ever get any recognition. Like I was saying, Rhonda has made the effort, and we've reached out to everyone that has participated in the project, got names, their skill sets, their signatures, which was tipped off because when we removed the metal ceiling in this area to put in the structural steel, if everybody saw that going in, we found that on the ceiling, two folks from the late 19th century wrote their names to just say that maybe will be recognized in the future. Well, we have everybody's name that will be recognized in the future. So those folks that bring their friends, their family, will be able to see and note that these folks have worked on the project. Other than those things, I had brought some photos I'd be love to send around, or you can look at. I'll set them out inside of other, Grand Victorian homes. But, this, again, for me, has been, and indeed, a pleasure, more than anything else, a privilege, to come to a community that's made me feel at home and do something that has certainly probably the most value in my life right now. So, well, thank you very, very much. And,
Once again, I'd like to take this opportunity to give a personal thanks to each and every one of you for what you've helped and allowed us to do here at the Alexander Black House. If you are so inclined, we have another opportunity for you to find out more about the Alexander Black House and be supportive. On August the 23rd. We'll have the Alexander Black Tie Gala, and we hope all of you who are available and would have interest would come and join us. The last one we had 2 years ago was a marvelous occasion, and we hope to try to duplicate that on August the 23rd. We will move around to the front of the house for the ribbon cutting, and I hope at the end of that you will go through this house if you haven't been through it, because I want you to see what you've allowed to be done here in downtown Blacksburg. Thanks so much for being with us this morning, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you. Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3. All right.